Okay, so yesterday we talked about multiplication being repeated addition. Today we're going to talk about division and how it relates to multiplication. And division is, rather than repeated addition, it's repeated subtraction. And we also talk about grouping usually when we talk about division. And so yesterday we had this problem of 2 times 3 equaled 6. And we had these 3 2's written down yesterday. Well, if we look at it in division standpoint, we would say there were 3 groups of 2 in 6. Or in other words, we could divide 6 into 3 equal groups of 2. So if I did not have this 3 here, I would say, how many groups of 2 are there in 6? 1, 2, 3. And I could then say, so what we're saying is there are 3 groups of 2 within 6. Alright, so the way you've been taught with division in the past, this is what it would look like, is two divided into 6, or how many groups of 2 are there in 6? And we would say 3. Alright, now we're going to talk about a problem that we may not know right offhand, or you may know right offhand, but again, it's 56 divided by 8. Now we talked about this a little bit yesterday with multiplication, but now we're going to talk about it in division. Now go ahead and write this down, and you're going to have, remember we talked about division as dividing this up into groups. So we could write out here 56 ones and circle groups of 8 and then find out how many groups of 8 we had. But that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of space on this board, and it would be impractical. So we're going to show another method which we call repeated subtraction. So if we start out with 56 here and we just subtracted 8, okay, so write down subtract 8, and you would get 48. Well, we're not to 0 yet. We got to keep going until we get to 0, so we're going to subtract an 8 again. That's 40. Now subtract another 8. 32. Subtract another 8. Which is 24. Subtract another 8. 16. Another 8. Which is 8. One last 8. So now we're to 0. Now we have to go back and count up how many 8s we subtracted. So here's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. Here's 4. Here's 5. Here's 6. Here's 7. So therefore, 7. We would have 7 groups of 8 in 56. Okay, so now let's do a practice problem that you guys will work on here. Something like 12 divided by 4. Now I want you to take and do this the repeated subtraction method, like what we just showed you. So write the problem down, and then your teacher should walk around and ensure you're working on this while they pause the tape so you can do it. Okay, so now let's come back together and work on this. So we start off, subtract 4, which is going to be 8. Subtract 4, which is 4. Subtract another 4. We're at 0 now. Now we go back, count up how many times we subtracted 4. 1, 2, 3. So our answer is 3. Okay, so one more practice problem we're going to look at here is 125 divided by 25. Write it down. Then your teacher's going to pause the video while you work on this doing the repeated subtraction method. Alright, so going through with this repeated subtraction here, we're going to start off subtract 25. That will give us 100 minus another 25, 75, minus another 25, that's 50, minus another 25, that's 25, and then minus one last 25 gets us to 0. Now again, we got to go back, count up our 25s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And indeed, we have 5 groups of 25 in 125.